Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Founders Disco. We're here today with Mariana, founder of Brazily Fitness. She's been in the space for 21 years. Hi, Mariana. How are you?
Hi, Shuj. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Amazing. Thank you. Tell us a bit about yourself, how you got started, and where you're at now.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, everything started for me. My parents are Brazilian, but I was born and raised here in Canada. And when I was 14, my dad got a job in Brazil, so our whole family had to move there. And you can imagine at 14, I wasn't thrilled about the news, and like I was a super shy, awkward kid, having to leave behind my friends and learn Portuguese and like get through high school was quite a challenge. My first year there, I developed an eating disorder, but what helped me to break out of it was when I found Brazilian music and dance, and it's what helped me to find my confidence. And then from there, I went into group fitness, and it helped me to just find movement that I loved. So I came back to Canada, and I was like, this is what I want to help people do. So went to college, started working as a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and I've been doing that for about 21 years now. But when I was about 8 years into my career, I started to really miss Brazil. Couldn't stand the winter. The weather's not as nice here as it is for you. And I was like, I'm just going to go. Those things you do before you have kids and you don't think about consequences, right? So I went with no money, no plan, and I ended up in Rio, and I ended up meeting my husband actually taking his dance class in Brazil. So we connected through our love of Brazilian music and dance, and then about 7 years ago, I brought him to live here in the cold with me when we started thinking about starting a family. But we started thinking about like how can we share this passion that we have with of Brazilian music and just the culture and vibe with the rest of the world, and that's how Brazily Fitness was born.
Man, amazing. That's
In a
so cool.
nutshell.
I love that. That's fantastic. So you were 14 when you moved to Brazil with your family. And
Mhm.
then when you went back to Canada, how old were you?
18. Yeah, like just about to
Okay.
turn 18. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did that by yourself. Your family is still in Brazil?
No, my family came back, yeah, when I
Yeah.
was 18, and then I went back by myself when I was 25. And my mom was not happy about
Oh,
it.
I can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine. I have a very similar experience. Our family moved to Australia when we were 14 from Sri Lanka, so I know a lot of the adjustment issues that you
Mhm.
would have experienced. I different symptoms, but yeah, the
Yep.
teething
You
issues
never
are
forget. You
real,
never
right?
forget.
Yeah. I guess down the line as well, you're like, man, I created all that trauma for myself. But in the moment, it feels like such a big thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of like cool things have happened in your life because of Brazilian music and dance, right? Like,
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because when I look back, I was so mad at my parents that I had to move there, right? But now when I look back, it was the best thing that could have happened to me because I don't know if I would have found my purpose any other way,
mhm,
right? Like in how things
yeah.
unfolded, meeting my husband, having our daughter, like it. So sometimes you have to just kind of roll with the challenges in life and see where they take you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like you said, looking back, right? Hindsight, you're like, well, if
Yep,
these didn't think like things didn't line up the way they lined up, like who would I even be, right?
exactly.
Yeah, amazing. So, I guess at some point, like, in your life, you would have decided, but like, what made this that important that you woke up one day and were like, this is what I want to pursue?
Yeah, well, I think it's because when I first started teaching group fitness, I was still very shy, very introverted. And the first program I started teaching actually was called Body Combat. It's from New Zealand, like you've probably heard of it, pretty close to you. It's from like the Les Mills programs, and I got my start through Les Mills, which has amazing education for instructors. But I remember that my team leader at the time told me, you know what, Mariana, like I just don't think teaching group fitness is for you, because I was so quiet, so shy, and like teaching this like super energetic kickboxing program.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, and now we're going to kick. And yeah, so so when she told me that, something just hit me where I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove her wrong. And I started to realize that I knew that I was shy, but everyone who came to my classes didn't know that. They just knew like, oh, I'm this like person coming to teach a class to them. So I started to create like this persona for myself. For when I was on stage teaching, I was like a completely different person, full of confidence and energy. And that slowly started to transfer into other areas of my life. And along the way, like I've had other instructors who I've trained and stuff who need similar stories, and how they feel like, you know, that they weren't motivated, they didn't have the right support when they were starting. And I feel like it's part of my purpose to help people see the potential in themselves and do the thing that they're meant to do with the right support system. And I find that Brazilian music and like and dance has this way of just bringing out like your confidence side. So I think that, you know, putting all of that together is important to me, like with
Yeah.
what we're doing through Brazily Fitness.
Amazing. And your husband part of the business as well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We teach together, we choreograph together. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. That's so cool. Um, yeah. Must be really cool to be able to, I guess, like work together, live together,
Mhm.
go through that whole journey. Yeah, together. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
And if I had to sort of put together, what problem would you be solving and for who?
So that's a tricky question, because our what I find with our business is that we have a few different branches, right? So we're B2C, like to consumer, like people who take our classes, right? Like what we want for them are people to feel more confident in their own skin, like feel, you know, build that courage, so that, like I always tell people, I want our class to be a tool for people to believe in themselves enough to start chasing their dreams. Because I firmly believe that each and every one of us were put on the planet with a mission, a purpose, something we're supposed to fulfill during our lifetime. And sometimes when we hear that calling, it feels big and scary, and we end up putting it off, and we end up settling for like the safer option. And I think that that's why we have so many people struggling with mental health today, because we have so many people settling and not like following the path they're supposed to follow. So that's why, like, I want our program to be that tool that people use to be. So that's why it's choreographed in a very specific way, where it's challenging. It's you to step outside of your comfort zone and be okay with, you know, making mistakes, learning, trying again, laughing it off. Like, and that's one of the things I love about Brazilian culture, is like they have this way of just like living in the moment, finding joy in the little moments. And that's like what we teach in our classes, right? So that's very very important for me. So like that's on like the experience like of the class, right? But then for our instructors, what we want is for them to embody that role of not just instructor but a coach, right? Because I tell them it's your job to create that safe space in your classes, so that people have that experience, right? So that they feel like that for that 1 hour they can forget about all their problems and just be there for them, and just like focus on, you know, their struggles and overcoming those struggles, and reminding themselves that they can do hard things, right? And they don't have to feel alone during the process. So that's the other way too. And also, like, what I'm very passionate about is teaching instructors to become more entrepreneurial, because the truth is, in our fitness industry over the years, like, you know, gym memberships, the prices keep going up, but the pay for instructors like stayed relatively the same, right? So we see a lot of instructors who are burning out. They're passion led, right? So they don't realize like that, you know, even though you love what you do, over time it's going to get exhausting if you don't feel like you're valued or supported, and you're not getting paid enough for the time that you put into organizing your classes and everything, right? So part of our training also includes the business side, how they can run their own business using our program. So that is very important to me so that they can have a sustainable income and business doing what they love. So that way they create more impact all around, right? Because most instructors, I always say this, instructors just want to help people, right? But you're not going to be able to help enough people if no one knows about your classes and about what you do, right? So the marketing piece is crucial, right? And then another side of our business too is like bringing our two gyms and like dance studios, right? So to help them attract a younger audience, because what we're noticing now is a lot like the group fitness is catered more to like older demographics. So a lot of younger people, college students, they're kind of like they're sticking to the weight rooms, and gyms are struggling to bring that demographic into their classes. And our program does really, really well with this demographic because it's focused more on mental health through dance, confidence building. We don't use any of the messaging that traditional fitness programs talk about, like burning calories, losing weight, because all the trend reports have shown that that's not what this generation wants to hear. And it's really interesting because when I first started Brazily Fitness, I hired business coaches and marketing agencies, and I told them, I'm like, I don't want to talk about burning calories and losing weight. And they told me, like, well, you're going to have to because, like that's what people want. And I was like, no, like I don't want to do it. And now like all the trend reports are showing that like I should have listened to my gut, right? And I'm happy that now I like a couple of years into it now I started to be like, no, this is what I'm doing. And now we're drawing in the right people. That so like there's something for everyone, right? And our program does really well at colleges. So we have university clubs starting here in Ottawa, and like we're expanding across Canada too. So we're getting students certified to teach on campus. So we're teaching them entrepreneurial skills and then just like creating that experience on campus too. So different layers for our business
Yeah.
there.
That's amazing though. That's to me that's reflective of somebody who has been in the game for 21 years. Like you're sort of, I don't know how there you are, but you know what I mean? Like you're a bit beyond that struggle of like I just want to pay my bills. I'm sure there's an element of that every now and again, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you've and I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but it seems like you've moved through those stages of I just want to help people to that to a degree where you're like, okay, now we focus on our team, right? Build our team up, get them to where they want to be in life and share some of the visions we have for them. And then expanding that even further to empowering people to be their own team. So yeah, it's really cool. Like the that sort of progression, you know what I mean? A lot of my daily clients in my business are sort of more in the they're still talking about leads as if they're not human beings and you know things like that sometimes, right? So it's cool for me to yeah be experiencing someone who's sort of moved past a lot of those early pains,
Yeah, but I would say that I'm still learning a lot, right?
Of
Because
course.
in this business with Brazili Fitness, I've had to learn so much that's outside of like the fitness world, right?
Mm.
Like wear all the hats when it comes to marketing and admin and all of that stuff, which like they weren't my areas of expertise, right? So I feel like I'm all learning. I think that's like the beauty of being an entrepreneur though, is
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so passionate about the way that I've structured our Brazilian dance program, because I
Mm.
feel like the dance teaches you that resilience, like to roll with the punches, right? And like and I wouldn't be here today like 3 years into our business if I hadn't started dancing as a teenager, right? And I
Mm.
think that that's what you need anytime you're following any kind of big dream or goal, right? You have to stick with it through the hard times. You have to figure it out, right? Like you have to know how to ask for help, and you have to keep going, right? You can take a break, but you don't quit, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about more people dancing, so that we get more people chasing their dreams too.
Amazing. Yeah, like I probably don't know, but I'm a dancer too.
Oh,
I
amazing. So you can
yeah,
relate.
grew up in hip hop, when I was very young. And I didn't actually realize how much that stuff influenced my life, right? I was like probably 10 years old, and these guys were putting together a little show, and me and my buddy gassed ourselves up, and we're like, pretty much walked up to them and we're like, we want to dance with you guys. And they
Wow.
would have been like 16, 17 kind of thing.
Mhm.
So to us, they were pretty much adults. They could grow facial hair and stuff. And they're like, all right, show us what you got kind of thing. And we were miserable. Like, it was awful. When I picture it in my head, like literally on the ground, like spinning in circles and stuff, like how they didn't like laugh us out the room was incredible. But they were like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that, and taught us, you know, and took us through, our first stage experience, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then I didn't dance for a while, and then in my 20s I picked up a fire staff on the beach, and that turned into a business. Essentially, we spent 3 years performing, traveling on the roads, this and that. Um,
Very cool.
and again, it builds so many like micro skills
Mhm.
that you don't otherwise get, right? Things like that shyness,
Mhm.
and to just shake it off. Like, all right, lights are on, it's time, make it
Mhm.
work. You know,
Exactly.
and the of everything that happens in the back end that leads to that moment,
Mhm.
right? You can tell when someone's trained for 2 hours as opposed to 10.
Yes, definitely.
And showing up places on time,
Mhm.
getting paid,
Mhm.
negotiating, all of these things, planning, do we
Mhm.
have the right equipment, fuel, costumes, is everyone here like, there's so many elements to dance and performance that just translate without being blatantly obvious, you
Yeah,
know?
so true.
Recently I did a show and I was rusty as, right? I hadn't danced or performed in probably like 7 years.
Wow.
And I was on this stage, very intimate crowd, like the people were maybe 3 meters in front of me, and I had fire everywhere. And I did this move, which I knew was going to be risky, practiced it maybe 30, 40 times, no issues. I lost track of where I was on the stage, threw this
Um,
thing in the air, and then I looked down and I'm like, oh no, this is not going to be good. I like literally burnt the side of my head.
oh my god.
But only the people in the front row noticed because they watched it hit my head. Everyone
Okay.
else, all like, the only tell that something went wrong was the ooh came from about 10, 15 people. And you just keep going. I just
Mhm.
kept going. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, stop and touch it, like, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I play baseball. Again, similar translatable skills. Like,
Mhm.
baseball is a sport for resilient people. Like, you just
Mhm.
suck until you don't,
Yep.
you know. And the best people, like the best players on earth, they suck 7 times out of 10.
Mhm. But that
And
I
it's
mean, I
those.
love what you said there because that's exactly what it is, right? Like when you're trying new things, you're gonna suck until you don't anymore, right? And I think that
Yeah.
as we become older and let's we get like in a career path that we're really good at, right? We're doing that same thing every day. And then when go try something new, like we forget what it's like to start from the bottom, right? And then we put this like expectation of like I should be good right away because like you're good at what you're doing like day to day at your job, and it's just not realistic, right? And then you're just robbing yourself the joy of that experience, right? Because you're putting this pressure that shouldn't be there, right? Like you should just
Mm.
be like letting it happen, see what happens, like magic unfold over time, right? And then
Yeah.
instead of just like saying like, oh, I dance, oh, I have two left feet, or this and that, right? Like, and like all these things that people tell themselves that usually it's like someone else who told them, or like some like old belief that's shouldn't even be there. So it's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Um, yeah. Letting go is probably the hardest part, right? So, what would have been the most frustrating part of getting all of this sort of started at each stage?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the most frustrating was, like I said, I hired a business coach and a marketing agency that was several thousands of dollars down the drain, and I had like zero return on those investments. So it's been like a lot of learning curves. I think that's the most frustrating is like just all the money and time that goes into it, and you don't see like the return as quickly as you want ever, right? So just like, and what I tell my husband is that I think the hardest part for me is the emotional roller coaster of like, you know, choosing a strategy or like reading up about a new strategy, and then I put together all the work, like all the funnels, all like everything that has to be in place, the emails and this and that, right? And I get all hyped up, and then the results are like, "Wah," and I have to like get back up and like, okay, try the next thing, and then that constant of like high low can very draining emotionally, and it just has you start to get into this like fear and doubt of like, is this really what I should be doing, right? Like, should it be easier than this, right? If this is really my calling, then why is it so hard, right? Like, so all those thought patterns that repeat when things aren't going as planned, right? So I think that's the hardest thing for me, is just like dealing with the ups and but also I've noticed that I'm not very good at celebrating the wins, right? So I get really caught up on when things don't work out as planned. But when something really cool happens, I'm just like, oh yeah, that was cool. And then I like move on. So that's something that I realized that I need to get better at. Like, so for example, it took us 3.5 years to have our first in-person instructor training. And so it was like a lot of work, like a lot of setting the foundation, like presenting at conferences, like pre-recording our course, doing market research, like all the things. And it finally happened this past August, like, and it sold out and it was amazing. And I didn't realize that I didn't give myself time to celebrate that. And because I'm like already thinking, oh, and then our next training is coming up and I need to focus on that and I need to fill that one, and we have to spend money with this and this and this and this, right? And then what happened was that I started to get really sick. So like my body just like forced me to slow down. It was like, look, you're gonna take it easy now. So I think that's like the important thing is like just staying with it, but also not being so hard on yourself along the way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, do you really own a business if you don't want to burn it all down at least once a day? Right.
Yes.
That's a component of the right.
Hmm.
And you're right, like that's down to a minute, and what that celebration looks like is different for everybody, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's a quiet coffee where you just don't do anything, or
Hmm.
some people like to book out the nightclub, whatever it may be. Those are important, right? We try and do like almost like an audit, right? Where the whole company, we catch up, we get together, talk about what we've been working on, what's been going really well, what hasn't, any milestones, and it's like it feels like a family gathering as opposed to, like a business meeting,
Hmm.
um, and it's everyone, no matter how, like, what component it is. There's always wins to when even every few weeks, right? There's been movement, there's been things, you know. Yeah, amazing. And if you were to describe a sticking point at the moment, where would that be for you?
I think the fact that we're still bootstrapping everything, we don't have investors, I think that really stunts our growth because like we're doing everything organically, or once in a while I run ads, but it's very slow paced. I think that's a big thing for us right now is just lack of funding, and because of that, then we also have lack of a team, right? So it's like a lot on my shoulders and on my husband's shoulders. So it's to be sometimes like I tell my husband sometimes I wake up and I'm like, which of the 10 important things should I focus on today? Because there's so many things that need to be done. And so that gets a little bit overwhelming, right? Just like not being able to outsource things the way that, I would like to at this point. Like I am getting a little bit better. Like I have, like now that we have some cash flow coming in, I'm having people edit our videos and things like that just sporadically. But yeah, it's still like very much a lot on my shoulders. So it gets to be a little bit much sometimes.
Yeah. Is it just you and your husband working on the business?
It is, yeah. And because, like, it's not like our full source of income right now, right? Because we're still like kind of planting the seeds. So he works full
Mhm.
time doing something else. As I like kind of, I'm the only one like full time in the business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
And you did mention you've worked with things before.
Mhm.
You can get into it. Like what experience was like on the ground.
Yeah, well, I don't want to like name any names or anything. But
Just tell me about the experience. Yeah.
yeah, they said that they were an agency. They called themselves like an accelerator company for fitness brands. And they said that they would only make money when I started to make money. And like the retainer that I was paying them was like barely covering their costs. And it was like, I think it was like at least like 1,000 or 15. It's been a couple years, but like maybe 1,000, 1,500 a month, something like that, plus like $1,000 ad spend. And then they were supposed to run the ads but also like help find influencers to like build the brand name and things like that. They didn't like they started running ads, and I started to realize that they had no follow-up sequence like for people who were opting in 4 months. They got me a $200 return after I spent like $10,000. And I start to question them. I'm like, where are the influencers? And they're like, oh, we're trying. And then like this the who was responsible for that, like he just always had some new excuse. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it myself. And after like a week, I got like a couple of people responding to me, and he was saying that like he had all these connections, all this and that, and like he wasn't getting, like it took him 4 months and he never got anyone, right? So it was just like a lot of like false promises. And even like, and I was still brand new, but I was still like learning. I was already learning about marketing and what should happen when someone opts in, and like, and I was like, why is this not in place? Like, why aren't you doing this? And like, yeah. And then there was one time too, I was using Kajabi, like the platform at the time, and they uploaded like a bunch of cold leads into our platform, and I wasn't gonna like reach out to them or anything, but I think they weren't very familiar with me. But they did something which sent everyone on our list free access to our course, and with like login information and everything. And we had like all these people, like these gym owners, like pissed off, like, I don't even know who you are. Why did you email me this? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what is going on? And said it was like a Kajabi glitch, but I know that like they must have done something. But anyway, so there were a lot of like little things like that. But yeah, so it was,
That's intense.
yeah.
So we're an agency, right?
Okay.
Partly. Similar to you, we've got different things that we serve at the moment. We've got a product and we've got an agency that sort of uses that product, and then
Hmm.
other agencies come to us for access to that, and we also serve end clients, right?
Hmm.
And we've worked with other agencies before. I've worked in agencies through my career.
Hmm.
Anyone who says that they're not going to get paid until they do what they do,
Yeah.
no. Like, that's the earliest red flag that
Hmm.
we look out for if, we're looking at working with someone or partnering
Hmm.
someone. And there's anything on their website, in their marketing, that's like guaranteed this or you don't pay.
Yeah.
Guaranteed this or no. Like, the only guarantee we give is like, if you don't do anything to change your current circumstance, nothing's going to change.
Hmm.
So you can take a shot. Here are our results. We have a good track record,
Hmm.
you know? Outside of that, what are there in life,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, that it sounds awful. I'm sorry you
Yeah.
had to go through that. It's yeah, very, very agency. Especially a few years ago, they were all doing it.
Hmm.
And for the most part, their versus what they could actually do, drastic difference, you know?
Yeah.
Fair enough. This is a fun one. So if you had unlimited time or money, what would already be done right now?
Good question. I would have a team of master trainers, like in every major city across Canada and US, to lead instructor trainings in person because right now the way we're doing it, it's hybrid. So you can either get certified completely online, submit your video, but we do want to have more and more hybrid trainings where people start the training online and finish the practical piece where they really focus on cueing and everything, delivering that experience in person. So I would have like all these like amazing instructors like trained and ready to go to start leading those trainers so that we can just like light everything on fire and things moving. That would be my thing, like just making
Yeah,
sure we things the ball rolling quicker.
amazing.
And
I
that's a
might
really
actually,
interesting question because like the other day someone asked me what I would do if I won the lottery. And then I realized like I would still be doing this just at a higher scale. Like and
yeah.
it's funny because like I try to remind myself of that like when I'm having a hard day, I'm like, you know what? Like I used to dream about doing what like what I'm meant to do and I'm doing it. It's not perfect yet, but I'm getting closer and closer every day. So
Mm,
I mean, I
for
think that's
sure.
priceless.
Yeah, and one thing I tell a lot of the people that I work with and you know work within as well is like, look, just wind back the clock 12 months. 12 months ago, you would have been frothing to be where you are right now.
Hmm.
And in 12 months, you're going to be frothing to be there. You just got to stick with it.
Yeah.
And again, part of that celebration we're talking about, right? Like, oh, you're miserable. You've had it, but,
Hmm.
you know, this is kind of where you want it to be, bro, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good wake up call. I have to check myself quite often as
Mhm.
well. Like, and it's even smaller than that. Like, am I having a bad day or have I had bad 15 minutes that I've let,
Yes,
you
exactly.
know? Yeah, especially with when it comes to the kids too. Like
Mhm.
sometimes
How many do you have?
we've got two.
Okay.
One's almost four and one just turned one.
Okay.
Boys. And sometimes there are those mornings where they're both screaming, you can't get anything right,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh. But
I
then,
have just one and I go crazy
yeah,
sometimes. So I
yeah.
feel you.
How old?
My turning 5 next month.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool. You've seen a lot of what I'm experiencing, right?
Yes.
And an hour later is like a completely different human being in front of you.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's really challenging to shake that morning off.
Hmm.
You're like, oh,
Yeah, my daughter does this
um,
thing where when she does something bad and and then she expects me to just be like, "Oh, okay," and I'm like, I'm still like angry, right? Because I'm like still not over it. She's like, "But I said sorry." Like
yeah,
she's like, "Why aren't you over it?"
yeah.
But
What more
we
can I
hold
do, ma?
on, like we
Like,
hold on to these grudges that are so like when you think back, you're like, okay, like it's so immature,
yeah.
right? Because they're kids.
Absolutely. And in the grand scheme of things, what's the big deal,
Yeah.
right? Like, you dropped something. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Like I draw the line. Like, there's a few things that I'll get genuinely mad about, like messing around with PowerPoints or,
Hmm.
you know, trying to play with the oven or something. I'm like, all right, guys, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's consequence to a lot of the things that they do,
Hmm.
except for annoying us.
Yes.
Um,
That is their
and
mission in life.
right, like and that's the thing that kids challenge you in ways that
Yeah.
never expected.
Yeah. So true.
And I don't know if you've done sleepovers, with grandparents or whatever yet,
Yes, yes,
but
yes. Thank God.
How weird is it when they're not there?
Yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, like you don't know what to do with yourself. Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I needed a break. And then when she's gone, I'm like, and I'm like calling my mom, FaceTiming.
right?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. So kids. We could
Soon
talk
we're gonna
about
like
them
just
for an
like turn
hour,
this podcast
right?
into like talking about kids, and we're gonna start sharing pictures of our kids. Be like, look how cute
Right?
they are.
That's the fun thing about this format, right? You just like
Yeah.
wax on, like, um, because again, we're learning lessons from all sorts of things:
Yep.
dance, kids, sport.
Hmm.
Um, and that's sort of the of this whole format is to give other people some of that, you know, tools to take away stuff from their lives that are applicable, that help get from wherever to wherever. Yeah. So what's the next milestone you guys are working towards?
So we have our next in-person instructor training coming up next month in San Diego. So it's very exciting. We're presenting at a conference down there. I've never been to San Diego, so I'm very excited. I'm also like now that you bring it up, very nervous about leaving my daughter here for 6 days with my mom. But that's part of it. So that's
Hmm.
like the next thing is to have more and more in-person trainings. We're very excited about the instructors who have been getting certified and who have been drawn to us, because we can see that they really embody our mission, and like they're very excited to, like be part of our growth. So yeah, just like keep doing what we're doing. And we're excited to, get more people certified and support them to start their classes so that they can start helping more people too.
Yeah. Amazing. And you touched on it before, but in terms of your milestones and stuff, is it something you're looking at like bootstrapping or partnering on or looking for external funding for?
Yes, I mean, when the time is right, we definitely are looking for, some sort of growth partner, and whether that be like with an investor or anything else. Like we're definitely ready to, explore the options. Like we're not sure what those options are yet, but we are actually just today. I just applied for like program here in Canada that teaches about like getting your first round of funding and like that. So hopefully I get into that program and then I start to, dive into that world to see like what's available.
Sure. Amazing. Amazing. We can chat about that sometime later if you like. I've been part of some of those fundraising ventures. Yeah, alongside people that I work with, or serve rather. And yeah, just going down that train. There's a lot of like nuancy things and
Yes, and I
um
feel like there's a lot out there
option.
for based businesses, and our business isn't tech, right? Like, I mean, we have a web app, and like eventually we want it to be a
Mm,
full app, but that's not like it's not like our own development or anything like that, right? So it seems like it's a little bit harder to find funding when it's not like a tech kind of based
yeah,
business.
100%. I know exactly what you mean. And then look, apps are what I live and breathe. So if that's something I can help you explore, um, absolutely happy to. But yeah, it's just about understanding what these like where these funding options are available
Yeah.
and what those bodies or people are looking for
Hmm.
to invest in. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the times you'll find that they invest in the people if more of an individual sort of partnership, right?
Mm.
But VCs, and those kinds of firms like to invest in something, not necessarily the someone, right?
Okay.
Though it does go hand in hand, like
Mhm.
absolutely. But yeah, that's something I can, you know, help you brainstorm with and
Great. I would
give you
really
some of,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, give you some of my experience. And if it's not, um, yeah, cool. And what kind of support do you think would make those things the most?
Just, I guess, like knowing what steps to take so I don't feel overwhelmed because, like I mentioned, this will be just like one part of like the other million things I need to do, right? So I don't like commit like full time to just learning about funding and fundraising and like, like I can't do that.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I haven't learned how to clone myself yet. But
Let
yeah,
me
so I
know
think
when you know.
yeah. So just like making sure that it's like very practical steps, easy to follow, and maybe
Hmm.
not use so like advanced lingo that I won't understand. Like, so talk to me like as I'm like my 5-year-old daughter, maybe. When it comes to
Yeah,
that side of things,
fair enough.
because yeah,
Mm.
definitely not an expert when it comes to all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, are you on time budget today?
No, I'm good.
No? Oh, maybe after we're interviewed, we can jam a little bit on some stuff.
Okay.
That brings us to the round. So,
Okay.
real quick fire, we'll go through, and this is sort of designed more to give listeners something to think about more. Um, what's the best piece of advice you've received when trying to build something new?
I think that one of the like best things I've learned recently is to not do it by yourself and to collaborate as much as you can when possible. Just like find people who have similar, audiences that you could work together. I think that has really helped. And also, like, one thing that I've learned myself is just to follow my intuition. Like the example I gave about, the messaging that I wanted from the beginning, I kind of ignored that, listened to the gurus, and realized at the end of the day I should have listened to my gut from the very beginning, and I probably wouldn't have wasted so much time. So, yeah, I think those are the important things so far.
Amazing. Um, any advice you'd give someone who's just starting out, but isn't sure where to begin?
Well, I guess maybe answer that question of like, what would you do if you had $1 million, right? Because that was really eye opening for me because I realized this is what I would be doing anyway, right? So, what is that thing? Like, even if it feels big and scary, like I'm telling you, I sat on this, I had the idea of Brazily Fitness for 5 years before I took action. And it took me getting pregnant, having my daughter, and her like going into daycare for me to be like, no, it's now or never, I'm doing this, right? So I know what it's like to hear that calling and just being like, okay, like I know this is what I meant to do, but how? With what money? With what resources? And I just started taking like one step at a time. And then all of a sudden, like I start to meet one person here, open a door here, and then, fall down here, get up here, and, and then just gonna keep going. But like, what would you do if money wasn't like an object?
And where can people find more about you and the work you do and connect with you?
Yeah, you can visit our website, so brazilyfitness.com. So that's Brazil with a Y at the end, fitness all together.com. Our handle on most social media accounts is Brazily Fitness. We're mostly active on Instagram, so that's where you can see a lot of what we post. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Mariana Santos, Brazily Fitness there too. And yeah, and you can email me anytime too. It's team at brazilyfitness.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mariana. That was really fun.
Thank you for having
Really
me.
fun, and you've got amazing insights and perspective. And yeah, I've picked up a lot from today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you very much. Um, and I'll leave all your information in descriptions and links for everyone to find as well. And we'll chat again soon.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.